Welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm glad you've made the connection and are with us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us. That gets us thinking, gets us exploring, sometimes gets us laughing a bit, and gets us, out and doing things, and perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we've made the connection. So we're doing our continuing series on library connections, and this is brought to us by MELSA. MELSA is the Metropolitan Library Service Agency. And my co-hosts are Sally of MELSA and Susan the librarian. And welcome to you both.
Hello.
Thanks.
That was Susan. And Sally, I'll say a shout out to you. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having us again.
Absolutely. And Sally, I'd love to have you give a brief recap of the Metropolitan Library Service Agency that you do so well, just for those that may not have joined us last month when you shared about it.
Sure. So MELSA is a regional public library system. The state of Minnesota is divided up into regions for the purpose of delivering library services across the state. And MELSA has more than 100 branches collectively across the 8 library systems. We have 7 county systems. I will rattle those off just so everybody knows: Anoka, Carver, Dakota, Hennepin, Ramsey, Scott, Washington counties, and then the St. Paul Public Library is a city library system. And so we have those, that's our service area. And what we do is provide a number of electronic resources that then are available at all of those library systems. And we also coordinate some programming and do some other things. But one of our main jobs is to make sure that everybody knows about all the great things offered by all of the public libraries in the Twin Cities metro area. And there are just tons of things that people often don't know about and are surprised to hear about. And so we'll get to hear some more about that today.
And MELSA is sponsoring our shows to get the word out and to be able to share in engaging ways things that are happening at the libraries from the folks that are doing the programs and supporting the good work that's connecting with the community. And we have Susan the librarian.
Susan the librarian is here.
And we've got a special month this month.
Yes, it is a library card sign-up month. For all of you who do not have library cards, I would highly recommend you get them. They're free. Just go down to your local library. Some you can apply online even.
Now, I used to have a library card, I'll admit, and I have misplaced it.
Yes.
And so I can go in and get a new one.
You can get a new one, yes.
And my image of getting a library card is just getting a library card and then being able to go and look for books. But it's more, isn't it?
It's a lot more. And besides all of the online things, many of our library locations, in fact, all of them offer some things you might not associate with going to the library. Like over in Anoka County, they, all the library systems have meeting rooms you can rent, and there's various policies that everybody has. But Anoka County has like a kitchen.
No.
You can rent.
Seriously?
You can rent their kitchen, and depending if you're a nonprofit or not, it's a reasonable thing to do. You can have meetings there. You could maybe film cooking vlogs if you'd like. Film your TikToks there, but they have this kitchen. You can just go to their website and book.
Wow. And you can book it like for a couple hours. There's
Yep. Yeah. You can't have it forever and ever. You'll have it for a reasonable amount of time, but you can do a recurring booking if you'd like. But yeah, and I believe you don't even need a library card to do that, but you should get one anyway.
Well, that's amazing. Are there other fun facts that you'd like to share with us about?
I could go through the library systems that I have. We have some special guests later that'll tell you more about the library systems that I'm not going to mention, or going to mention some other things for. But over at Carver County, we've got seed libraries. Many libraries throughout the Twin Cities do have them.
Now, Tell me, a seed
A
library?
seed library is where we have seeds available for the public. You fill out a form, and then we request that if you'd like to bring back the seeds from the plants that you grew.
So
But-
cucumbers, tomatoes, all of those things?
We've got we had a few flowers this year too. We were trying that because everybody needs beauty in their life. But there's corn, even corn. It's Minnesota. You got to do the corn.
Yep, yep.
Corn, beans, but there was a whole array of crops. We've got tomatillos. We had, basically we had a whole bunch of things. If you wanted to make your own salsa, you could have grown it from our seeds.
So but we should check with the library to make sure that it does have a seed library before
Yep.
we go there.
Like most of these, they might be at certain libraries within a system, or all of them, or only at certain times. We've rolled up our seed libraries for, it's September now. Even with the warm temperatures we've been having, probably the growing season's almost over. Maybe you don't want to start the seeds, so we've rolled those up. But we also have puzzles at some locations you can check out along with your books and CDs. That's something that
A good family
yeah.
fun to do, or
Yeah.
entertain your friends when they
Yeah,
come over.
and that way you can get a different puzzle every time you come, instead of having to go down to the Amazon store, the old Amazon store or Target, and keep buying them. You can
Or storing them that
yes,
way.
and we usually have puzzle swaps too. So if you want to get rid of yours, good way to clean out the house. And I know over in our neighboring Dakota County, we've got an iLab, which you can do everything from crafts and technology. You can, they actually have a recording set up there for podcasting or for what have you. So they have like a whole suite of technology things you can, again, go in. You'll probably need a little training before you go and use. Hennepin County, I don't think they will probably not be discussing this, but some of the cool things they have there. They have tutors at a lot of the libraries, live tutors that are volunteers that come in several days a week after school. They've got probably more assistive technology than any other library system that I think in the Twin Cities. They've got some cool archival collections online and off, including yearbooks
Really?
and menus from
Oh.
several Minneapolis restaurants of yore. So those are some things that they won't have time to discuss later. Sorry, Hennepin. You'll have to talk about other things now. Ramsey County leans into technology help, and they have a lot of maker classes for adults.
And that we will be hearing a little bit more about.
No, that's actually St. Paul we'll
Oh,
be
okay.
hearing from.
Okay.
They're separate from Ramsey.
Got it.
They're splitters. No, just kidding. Scott has Library of Things kit. I don't know if you heard about Library of Things, but they're where you can check out things like cooking pans or, tools, et cetera, et cetera. So they have kits
Like
for
daily
those.
living things.
Yep. If you want to say it's like, hey, I can't afford my own, mixer. I don't know if they have one, but that's an
Or
example.
some sort of leaf blower.
Yeah, leaf blowers, fancy springform pens for special occasions. They might have those down there. Over in Washington County, they offer proctoring services.
Tell me what proctoring services means.
There's a lot of online test taking or that needs someone there to kind of oversee the process.
Ah,
So if you're doing some remote schooling in a college or university environment, frequently they make you do it that way. And
Cool.
Washington County still offers that. That's kind of hard to find around the place. But yeah,
and so you've given us, I feel like, a global whirlwind tour
Yes.
of the metropolitan offerings of fun facts to know and tell that you wouldn't know
Yes.
necessarily if you just are thinking back of the time when you were a kid going to get a library book.
yes, and there's going to be more coming up.
Wonderful. Sally, my friend, do you have any good things to add about what's happening in our metropolitan area?
Well, I should just note, just back on the seed libraries for a minute. So I'm a visitor or user of the St. Louis Park branch of the Hennepin County Library System. And they have the coolest thing when you walk in. They have like repurposed an old fashioned like wooden card catalog. It looks like it's got the little drawers that are, for the when you had to kind of look in the card catalog to find books and things. And now, of course, you don't have to do that. But they have their seeds are arranged alphabetically in this card catalog. It's super cool. And then they have empty envelopes too. If you're contributing seeds, you can also do that, but you can kind of go through the little seed card catalog, and it gives you that libraries of your feeling, but sort of a new and fun way of getting those
Kicking it
seeds.
old school.
Oh, and
Yeah.
I do have a follow-up. Now, you mentioned just briefly, Susan, that you could bring seeds back from your plants, right?
Yes.
And so do you bring that back to the library, or is it a community group that you bring it back to?
It depends on your location. Your location in Carver County, we've asked people that they had brought seeds back to the library because
Okay.
we send them back and hopefully can reuse some of them next year.
Wonderful. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give it to Susan and Sally to introduce the guests that we'll have for the second and third segment. Our second segment will be featuring Jessie, and then in the third segment we'll be featuring Stacy. So, Sally, tell us a little bit about Jessie Sawyer.
Oh my gosh. Well, Jesse's, just from my perspective, coordinating things on the MELSA level, is sort of an indispensable individual in that he is always helpful. He's in their community engagement team. And so, when we're doing events, like we'll have the Twin Cities Book Festival upcoming, or the Pride events, or different things, Jesse's always a great go-to. And once again, is a great go-to for this particular situation because he was involved in kind of getting MinSpin started, knows a lot about it, has been very active in that particular cool program, which he will talk about in considerable detail. But I suppose I may have missed formal bio points just talking about how helpful you are to me personally.
No, it's all good. All
So,
good.
Jesse, what would you want to add? What would you want to add from your background?
So
Yeah, thanks, Sally.
And Jessie, we're going to save you until the next segment, and
Okay.
I'm going to
Sorry.
do a little cliffhanger there, and then I'll have at the end of our next segment an introduction of Stacy. But Jessie, stay with us. We'll be right back. We're going to go to commercials now, and for more information about MELSA, you can go to melsa.org, and we'll be right back. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And I'm glad you joined the conversation. Our topic today is on our continuing series of Library Connections, and that's brought to us by MELSA on the second Saturdays of the month here on AM 950 Radio. Metropolitan Library Services Agency is what MELSA stands for. And hosting with me today are Sally of MELSA and Susan the librarian. Hi, Sally.
Hi.
Glad you're here.
Thanks so much for having us again.
Absolutely. And Susan the librarian.
Hello.
Susan, you were going to share a little bit more about getting your library card because September is Get Your Library Card Month,
It's
right?
National Library Card Sign Up Month. I believe it's called somewhat officially or officially. I'm not sure. Haven't had enough coffee. But here you go. To get your library card, there are pretty much all libraries let you walk in. For most of them, they'd like you to have a picture ID if you're an adult. And if it doesn't have your current address, bring something official along. And they're kind of like, as long as it's you not writing it on a piece of paper, it seems official enough for most librarians and library systems. I can't swear for everyone in person. There's also several libraries that let you apply online, even though one of my coworkers is kind of like, oh no, more online applications. We like them. Sorry, not sorry. Got a text in the previous segment, and yeah, she's probably a little squirming with embarrassment right now.
all
Sorry,
good.
not sorry, throwing you under the bus.
No.
But yep, we want everybody who can get a library card to get a library card, and and a picture ID could be even a credit card with your face on it. we want you to get that card. So a lot of us will even give you temporary cards that let you sample most of what we do. And you just have to eventually bring in something official looking with your address. And you should get one in the county or location that you live in.
And one of the cool things that you can do, Jesse Sawyer from Hennepin County Library will talk to us about MinSpin and the Vinyl Revival Listening Room. Welcome, Jesse. We're glad you're here.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about these resources.
So tell us, tell us about MinSpin. What's that?
Yeah, let's start with MinSpin. So MinSpin is an online streamable resource of all Minnesota musicians. It is funded by the Friends of Hennepin County Library. We currently have between 600 and 700 albums on there.
And there's a pretty good range, by the way. Everything from children's music, children and adult, like Cuckoo Kangaroo, to, bands you've heard of that are played on local radio stations.
Yeah, thank you for calling that out. We do really intentionally approach their book collections. We do really intentionally try to cast a wide net so that we're really representing, more established artists, but also artists who maybe have never even played a show, but have made a recording in all sorts of genres. We work with both staff curators and community curators each year to go through the submissions, which I think is really important. So we often work with artists, musicians, maybe record label owners, music store workers, to kind of get that input from the community on what we want to add. We'll probably be doing an open call for submissions in the spring. That's typically when that happens, so look for that. And I just really encourage folks to submit their music and consider it. Some folks who have become kind of established local stars, put in their first home recorded EP years ago, and it's really fun to go back in the collection to find those. And everybody who is in the collection is compensated. We pay the artists for that streaming. You can stream without a library card, just go to our website. But if you have a library card, you can also download, which is really wonderful. So encourage folks, again, playing off that theme, get your library card and it'll give you access even more.
So if I wanted to listen to, let's say, Cat Stevens, I can go on and have that be downloaded, or is there a place where I can go and see all the different artists, musicians that I could have available?
Yeah, you won't find Cat Stevens in there because I don't think he's local.
But it's only local. Good.
Yep, this is really celebrating Minnesota music.
Cool.
So you will find Nerdy or Monica LaPlante or The Rank Strangers, or those are some of my personal favorites, Larry Wish. And you can find it, there is a URL, which is hclib.musiccat.co, but I would just encourage folks to go to the library website at hclib.org. It's actually on the front page right now. There's a tile, but you can find it pretty easily.
And tell me about, is this part of the Vinyl Revival Listening Room?
It is different. They're similar in that they're both helping folks access music, but whereas this is a streaming resource that you could access from your home or from wherever you're at, Vinyl Revival is, it's really more about getting folks back in touch with the physical medium of vinyl. We're really lucky that the downtown Minneapolis Central Library still has its vinyl collection that they curated over the years and the decades. And many years ago, staff at Minneapolis Central really felt like it was a resource that wasn't getting enough. We've been rebound in terms of the purchasing habits of consumers, and we want folks to be using these materials. It's an amazing collection. So if you go down to the Minneapolis Central Library and you go to the third floor, there are so many amazing resources there. And one of them is that we have a Vinyl Revival listening room where you can go to the front desk, check out the room for an hour or however long you need it, and then we keep a curated collection of records available at the desk. You can grab a few records, take them in the room with you, listen in the room on headphones or on small monitors. The selections we put out to the public at any given month are curated both by staff or by guests from the community that we've worked with, usually musicians or artists. But we also have a large collection. It's not on our catalog currently. That's a lot of work to get that happening at some point in the future. And it doesn't circulate beyond the building. It's all about the in-building connection to a physical medium that I think people really value in today's digital age. I'll also do a plug while you're up there on the third floor. our zine collection is right next door. And I currently would say my favorite cheap date idea that I would promote for anybody is to grab a zine, grab a record, and sit down and listen to a record together with somebody while you pour over some of the amazing local zines in our collection.
Not
And if
check
you are,
out the piano room.
oh, sorry.
Check out the
Say that again?
piano room, maybe.
I was just going to say, and if you are a musician and you're inspired by what you're hearing, or even if you're not a musician but want to check it out, we also have a large sheet music collection and then a piano room where you can actually reserve it in advance on the website, or if it's available, walk up and use it. It's a beautiful piano. It's a soundproofed room, so you can make all the mistakes you need and not feel any shame. It's really a wonderful space.
And again, this is at the Hennepin County Library?
That's right. Yeah, these resources specifically are at the downtown Minneapolis Central Library. We also have zine collections at East Lake Library and North Regional Library, I believe. But those are in-person resources. MinSpin you can access anywhere just by going to our website.
Wonderful. And Sally, we have our friend Stacy Opitz that's going to be joining us in the next segment. Do you want to give a quick overview of Stacy, and then we'll go to commercial and have Stacy join us in the next segment?
Sure. So Stacy is the marketing and communications manager for the St. Paul Public Library System, which is, of course, my area is marketing and communications too. And I should mention Stacy has a team that she works with, and she and her team are on MELSA's communications team. So MELSA, one of the other things we do is we have various teams for various things. We have a youth services team, an adult program team, a collection development team, and we have a communications team. And so Susan, by the way, Susan, the librarian, another one of her roles is she's the Carver County representative on the communications team at MELSA. But so Stacy's on the leadership team at the St. Paul Public Library. And so, her and her team are focused on kind of getting the word out about all the cool things that the St. Paul Public Library has to offer.
Well, looking forward to talking with Stacy in the next segment. And Jesse, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing with us about MinSpin and the Vinyl Listening Room. I'm looking forward to checking that out with my new library card that I'm going to be getting. And for more information on MELSA, you can go to melsa.org and learn about a lot of cool online resources as well. And we'll be right back after just a few short announcements and commercials that support our wonderful show. And then we'll learn more from Stacy about some of the cool things that she's up to. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Lori Fitz, your host of the Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And I'm glad that you have joined the conversation. Our topic continues to be library connections, and that's brought to us by MELSA on the second Saturdays of the month here on AM 950 Radio. And MELSA stands for Metropolitan Library Service Agency. And hosting with me, my co-hosts are Sally of MELSA and Susan the librarian. Welcome, Sally.
Thanks so much.
And Susan, we're glad you're here.
Hello again.
And one more plug for get your library card this month.
Yes, get your library card this month or any month that's convenient to you. We're librarians. We're generally not pushy, but we really would like you to. And it's free.
And September is a special month dedicated.
Yes.
To making sure that we
I know
remember.
some library locations have little promos, like you can go to their branch and there's selfie opportunities with giant library cards.
Really?
Yes.
I might have to do that.
Yes.
I'll have to look up which ones have the selfie stand. So joining us in this segment is someone that can share a little bit more about what's happening at the St. Paul Public Library. Stacy Opitz. Stacy, are you with us?
I am here. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. You're here to talk about your maker spaces and other cool in-library resources.
That's right.
Should Stacy
Thank
introduce
you for
herself?
having us. It's so fun to be able
Yes.
to talk about libraries and the plethora of things that we offer. St. Paul Public Library is St. Paul, the city's library system. We've got 14 locations. One of them is our central library downtown St. Paul. And one of the features we have at that building is an innovation lab, and that is our maker space. So that is a spot for artists, for hobbyists, for tinkers, for beginners to come in and get hands-on with technology and maker tools to create all sorts of art and unique pieces. It is a free space, and it's got tools such as a recording studio, a 3D printer, a laser engraver. We've got digitizing capabilities. So people who have VHS tapes, home videos that they'd like to make digital can come in and do that for free. We've got sewing machines, tons of fabric, yarn, sort of like you name it, we've got it. And there's a community of artists, I think, which is really special. Community of people that come together to learn and share with each other as they make and create.
So let's imagine that I'm coming in and I want to sew an A-line skirt. How would I do that? What would that look like?
Yeah. So it's the Innovation Lab is on the third floor of our central library downtown near Rice Park. At this point in time, it's appointment only. So you would call up and you'd make an appointment. It's open 5 days a week. If you're new to the lab, you're going to go through a quick orientation. A staff member will walk you through how to use the different pieces of equipment that you're interested in. And then you'd get to work. We've got the sewing machines there. We've got staff to help you learn how to use the piece if you want that assistance. And we've got patterns, we've got fabric, you can bring in your own materials, and you've got space to work and create.
So theoretically, I could come in and make my skirt on the materials that you have there and walk out with a skirt that I could wear the next week.
You certainly could. It's
If your
kind of
skills
first come,
are
first
that
served with the
good.
materials. So hopefully we have enough in your style.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we encourage you to bring your own if you have it, or
Uh,
And
be
I know,
flexible with what we have.
and you have related programs for teens there too, don't you? Away from the adults, the pesky adults.
We do. This innovation lab was born out of a desire of adults to have access to maker spaces like we had for teens. So we have something called CreateTech, and that is a space and a set of programs that was created by teens for teens. And it's really just the library offering space and resources for teens to hang out and get creative. There's the same sort of tools and opportunities for teens at our Arlington Hills Library and a few other libraries. So we've got teens playing video games, we've got a recording studio, recording music, recording podcasts, painting, sewing, nail art, you name it. It's really, the space is informed by teens. And to some extent, the same goes with our adult space as well.
And did you get any of those going from some feedback from community specialists, or do they play a different role?
Community specialists play a really unique role at St. Paul Public Library, and they certainly engage with our maker spaces too. So community specialists is a team of staff at the library who take a culture first, language first approach to the library. So we have a team of staff who come from communities and speak languages, Hmong communities, Somali communities, Spanish speaking, African American, Kenya, or Karen. And they really get out into the community and connect with people who aren't familiar with or aren't using the library. They bring that library experience out in the community to introduce us to folks and help them discover their library in a way that's meaningful to them. And a few of the communities have had an artist, a local artist, Kenya community, for example, use our makerspace to host an artist in residence series. So led a group of young people in painting, I believe it was, and creating art that represents their home country, which was a really neat experience for the library and for the community.
And if someone just wanted to come in and learn about all the different things that they could do, is there like a maker's tour or someone that can just help guide them that maybe I just want to know if they do X, Y, or Z. What would that look like?
Yeah. Again, I'd encourage folks to call. So they can call our main line and ask to be connected with staff in the Innovation Lab, or go online for instructions on how to make an appointment, or look at our calendar of events. We have a series of events happening in that space. So there's sort of two entry points. Check out a crafting circle that happens on a regular basis, or a unique program that's hosted, focused on a particular type of art. They can join through a one-time event, or call up, make an appointment, meet with staff, and they'll be more than happy to walk you through the space.
Do you have some events coming up that would be fun for our audience to learn about?
We've got crafting circles coming up. Those happen, I believe, every fourth Wednesday of the month in the evening. We've got an event for making necklaces that is currently full, but you can join the waiting list. We've got an artist who uses our space named Dennis, who leads regular introductions to the laser engraver, which is a really cool tool. I encourage folks to check out any one of those opportunities, and we're always putting new things up on the calendar. So keep checking back.
And if folks had like an idea that they wanted to host a program there, like the artist that is helping to teach painting, how would they go about that?
I think same direction as I've been giving. Call up the lab, talk with staff, and explore that idea with them. I think we're very open to co-creating and co-building with community members and with users of the lab. And so I would encourage listeners to call staff up and have a conversation.
You don't have to be a member of St. Paul Library, do you, to use it?
You do have to have a library card to use the space. It doesn't need to be a St. Paul library card, but having a library card will help you become a member, which just means you're going through a training and becoming knowledgeable about the equipment in there.
So yet another reason to get your library card, people.
Yes. It is September too.
Yes, it's September. It's, National Library Card. Sign up.
I have a question for you, Stacy, about your time in doing this work. Has there been something as you've been supporting these programs that sort of surprised you over the years that you just go, ooh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
I am constantly amazed at the creativity of our staff, at the services that they offer in the individual branches that sort of surprise and delight people when they walk in, from the sort of passive ask a librarian a joke, or the funny displays that people put up, to some of the really unique programming that people create. There's just always something to explore and discover at the library that you might not have thought of.
That's wonderful. Sally, do you have some other comments that you want to make sure that our audience knows about in terms of the great opportunities that are available throughout the MELSA system?
Well, I really feel like it's been great to have Jesse and Stacy talk about the cool things on there. I myself am now thinking, people are going to have to look into time management opportunities to be able to do their zine and vinyl listening dates, and also head over to St. Paul and make a bunch of stuff. And it just feels like there's almost like more opportunities and more fantastic things to be doing at the Metro Public Libraries than there are hours in the day or days in the week to take advantage of. But again, I just want to reiterate that all of the 8 library systems in MELSA have special things to offer, and it's definitely worth a call or a visit to the website, or a visit to the branches themselves to sort of see what's near you.
I have to admit that Susan's mention of the kitchen that you can check out
in
Anoka County might be something that I need to do a special trip to Anoka to see.
But related to what Sally said, actually, some of our library systems offer extended unstaffed hours, so you can manage your time better.
Ooh.
So before the libraries open or close, they're open, with staff. There's times where you'll have to have a library card to do it, but you can get in early and late if your schedule is as such that you can't get to the library during their opening hours. You can go in, check the books, use the computer, maybe grab a little study space table. But yeah, that's another thing many of our systems offer.
That is wonderful. And, in our next segment, we will be focusing specifically on what are some things that we're going to have recommendations for you to be thinking about. And Susan will be sharing her Susan Suggests, as well as we'll be sharing an email that you can use to have a special access to Susan the librarian and her special unique answers to support you in navigating our system. So we'll be right back. We'll be learning more about MELSA and our Metropolitan Library System. So stay with us. Thank you for being with us on our radio show today. I'm Lori Fitz, the host of our Connections radio show, and we talk about ideas that matter. And I'm glad that you were part of the conversation. Our topic today was on library connections, and that's brought to us by MELSA. It's brought to us on the second Saturdays of the month here on AM 950 Radio. And the Metropolitan Library Service Agency, which is what MELSA stands for, promotes all the cool things that are happening in the libraries, as well as provides all kinds of online that we're exploring on these second Saturdays of the month. And hosting with me today are Sally of MELSA and Susan the librarian. And thank you guys for bringing such great guests, too.
You're welcome.
Yeah, they've been wonderful.
Yes, they were wonderful. And it was great to learn about all the amazing things that you don't think of when you think of a library. I don't think of a vinyl listening room. I don't think of being able to go and sew a dress. Those are things that are just a little bit different, but great to know and kind of exciting, too, that we can make community connections like that. So what I'd like to do in this segment is to have Susan share with us about what are some cool things that she thinks of as well. And our fourth segment, we have the Susan Suggests. And we also have an email that you can specifically use to contact Susan about questions that you have. But what's your Susan Suggests for this?
Well, my Susan Suggest is basically it's ways to get at hidden gems in our collections. And there's a couple of different ways to do that, or things that you would like to check out, but they have a huge waiting list. There are actually some of our library systems do have programs, like at Carver County, we have the Lucky Day program, which are titles that you can't put on hold but have long waiting lists. So if you go into the library and see a copy of the bestseller, you can check it out for slightly less than you can a regular checkout.
Oh,
But there's that way to get at some things. But let's say you want a popular book or you're looking for something new. We have things online where you could ask a librarian in all of the systems. We all have access to a database through MELSA called Novelist, an online resource that if you type in a book that you really loved, you can get a list of recommendations that are like that book. Though I'd like to say a better way to do that is to ask a librarian. You don't even have to go.
This is Librarian Advocacy Day as well.
Librarian Advocacy Day, in addition to September's National Library Card Sign-Up Month.
Okay.
So you can ask a librarian, and if you don't feel like stopping by, if you don't like using your phone like many people don't and calling, there's online ways to do it. I know over in Carver County, you could ask us through our website. You can ask us through our social media channels. You know, whatever you're comfortable reaching out to us, even if it's a question like, hey, I love this book. Can you recommend similar? Or I'm looking for a new sci-fi author, et cetera, et cetera. It's, ask your librarian because we can talk about books and reading pretty much all day.
Now, if they want to ask Susan,
They want to ask Susan, they can email Susan the THEE librarian at gmail.com. That's Susan the THEE.
it's
librarian.
sort of the Old Testament the.
Or again, like Megan the Stallion
Okay,
at
the.
gmail.com.
That's great. Sally, do you have some suggestions for us to be thinking about in the month ahead before you join us again on the second Saturday of the month?
Well, I think one other thing we were maybe going to mention, do we still have time to talk about the park passes at all, or are we?
Sure, we've got 2 or 3 minutes, so go for it.
Okay.
There are.
Well,
are
yeah,
you going
go
to do
ahead.
it? I'll do it. Okay. We have libraries in Hennepin County and St. Paul that have Minnesota State Park passes available. I believe you do need a library card to check them out, so make sure you have one. It does not necessarily. Actually, I think for those you do need one for that county. But
As it relates to the park pass of that county.
To the park
Yeah.
pass of that county. So get your library card there and make sure that you're going to a branch that has them. but they're good for any Minnesota state park, which is cool.
Do you have another one, Sally?
There are some other things that I think maybe we can mention that are in library use resources that again are MELSA provided, but there's a couple. Ancestry Library Edition, which is again version of Ancestry.com that is a kind of expensive thing to subscribe to, but you can use it in any one of the libraries for free. And there's also the ALLDATA car repair, which is, again, you can access that as a, paid subscription to be able to use ALLDATA's resources, or you can visit one of the libraries and be able to use those for free.
And a pause on the car repair. Is that like YouTube videos, or is it like manuals?
It's actually manuals for cars, trucks, and SUVs that go back many, many years. There's some videos within it, but you can get step-by-step printed directions.
Cool. And we've got time for one more.
Oh gosh, let's see.
Okay, did I mention some of our library systems have in-person homework help? If not, it's worth mentioning again. We have an online Help Now resource available online for all of the libraries, but many of our libraries have in-person homework help, which it's September, good time to bring it up.
Yeah, some kids have gone back in August, but
Yes.
definitely most of them back in September. So if, let's say we have someone that needs some support, they can just go into the library, or do they need to reserve it in advance, or how do you do
Many
that?
of them, they don't need to make an appointment. It is a walk-in system. I believe it's like that in Hennepin County. But again, check your library website. And if you don't live in Hennepin County or another county, most of the resources at most libraries are available if you have a library card from really anywhere in Minnesota.
Math. Do they do math?
And the tutoring, yes. Math is hard.
It is.
Yes.
So often I have my friends look at me like, I can't help my child with the math.
Yes.
Who do I go to? What do I do? I just, so yes, that's
The library has your back.
good. It's good to know. Well, I just want to do a special thank you to the library. I will make a commitment that before the next show, I will have my new library card.
I'm going to ask you to hold it up then.
I will, and it will be for the October show. I will have my library card. I will have visited the library. I'm going to do it in person, and I'm going to be asking if you don't have a library card in your pocket, in your purse, or wherever you keep your cards. You need to go out and get one, because there's so many cool things to do. And I'm going to start using my library more, because the library has my back. Thank you for joining us today. And I hope you have a great week. We'll look forward to having you join us next week. And thanks to all our library support and to MELSA.